Hello everybody, welcome to the Apricot Cashew Chestnut Lentil Loaf, my signature dish, the one you have all been asking for, and I am most honoured to prepare for you now. It is one of the most simple dishes and the one that I started my journey when I cooked up my first lentils. This was the first dish that I created. The lentils, this is what binds it all together, the mushiness of the lentils. If you're not familiar with cooking lentils, have a look at the video. But there are two methods of cooking it, with tomato as we have today here, and then also cumin and coriander. Our cashews are what binds it all together. Fine, and then with bits in, we want a bit of texture. Our unsulfurated apricots that I bought, chopped very economically in the whole food shop today. Unsulfurated, better for you perhaps, but not as good as colour as you will see in the ones in the middle. For the garnish, the chestnuts. If you can get chestnut puree, much better. If not, just mash up your whole chestnuts with a fork, as simple as that. And once we have these ingredients together, simply we just put them all together. So once we've mashed our chestnuts, we're going to look at just how to grind up the cashews. A third in at a time, and we want 2/3 finely ground and the other third with more texture, as you can see. Here we go. And once we have got to this stage, all we're going to do is bind it all together and then get our hands in. We're going to feel it, everybody. I've started out with a wooden spoon, but I don't last long with a wooden spoon with this recipe because it's part of getting your hands in, being at one, the cooking meditation. So we now have all our ingredients, and we're going to mix them. I'm trying very vainly there with a wooden spoon. And here we go, in with our hands. Feel it. You can feel the smell, feel the texture. It is the cashews that hold it all together and the lentils that give it the wonderful mushiness. Very important then to hold it all together once it's on the tray, but we'll see that. I go into that into some detail because it is one of the most important parts. Starting to form into a ball already, as you can see. We've got our whole cashews, our texture. Form it into a log in the bowl as much as you can before you want to get it out. You can make this up to 2 hours or overnight. This is now 2 hours later, but please feel free to make it overnight to this point and hold it. It works very well. We're now going to form our nut loaf onto a well-oiled, thick-bottomed tray. I've used a deep-sided one because I don't have a suitable flat one. It's much more difficult to get off because you can't put your slice underneath when you're getting off. I have some difficulties, you'll see later on. We're forming it into as much of a log as possible in the bowl and then putting it on to the tray. We're then getting some water in a jug or bowl to wet our hands to mold it all together. We have our water, our hands, dip them in. You want them quite nice and wet, and then we're really going to pack it down. This is the most important part of this dish because it has no eggs. It will always be a nice crumbly nut loaf. So packing it down one end and then turning the dish around to pack the other. Here we go. So we've got our nut loaf forming very nicely now. We're moving it slightly on the tray to make sure that it's not sticking already, and then we're then going in to make sure we have all of the bits up underneath. When we are baking this, we want to bake it at 180 degrees, no more, because it does tend to catch on the bottom or any little bits you've left on the side quite quickly and burn. So for 30 to 40 minutes maximum at 180 degrees. I'm going back in again just to show you how important it is to pack this down with your wet hands. We're then going to create, firstly, we are going to put on our beautiful garnish. This is why we're using the unsulfurated apricots, because of the colour that we've got in these with the cashews. Nicely speeded up, my prowess in videoing. Please forgive me on this one. It's just, as a non-computer person, to be doing this with you now, as I'm saying, the journey's been huge, everybody. Now we're ready to create a steam jacket from some greaseproof paper, well oiled, put on the top, and then some foil to cover it over, to make sure that it doesn't get the heat from the oven and catch on the side. Lots of oil on there, because the oil with the ingredients of the nut loaf create a steam jacket that helps to form the whole thing together. We're then going to put this around, sticking it in as much as possible, and then putting our foil over the top. Our foil, lovely, packing that well in around, and then one I prepared earlier. In just a second, here we are, one I prepared earlier. This was only 35 minutes later to this point. And here we have our beautiful apricot cashew loaf. Cutting off a nice slice, cooked for you especially with love. Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoy it. Please enjoy it with the glazed onion sauce.